Hi, I'm Rebecca Wirfs. I want to share two stories from the Agile 2011 Insights stage about people who've successfully blended lean and agile practices. I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to attend Open Agile Romania. I'm going to be busy running the Portland Marathon this Sunday, but I wish you really a good conference, and I'm sorry I'm not being able to attend. My Agile lean stories are from two whose insight reports I shepherded for the Agile 2011 conference. And if you'd like a copy of their report, please send me an email. The first is about a large team of around 30 who are doing XP and Scrum, who had some underperforming members. What they decided to do was to form two different teams. One that did traditional Scrum and XP practices, the other that used Kanban instead of a backlog to track their work. The people who were deemed underperformers were assigned to the Kanban team. The differences in their practices was slight, but they had training on the difference between iterative development, where they used cumulative flow of what they're burning down, that they would estimate, take stories, estimate, and work off of a backlog. Instead, with a Kanban team, they had a Kanban board with a set of tasks that they would flow through the board. Both teams practiced the same developer practices. They had daily stand-ups describing their current work status. They did TDD and continuous integration. But the difference in work that was assigned to teams was significant. The iterative team had larger scale tasks, things that might affect the architecture, stuff that was deemed important and could structurally change the system. The Kanban team was charged with small feature requests and bug fixes. To make a long story short, at the end of just a few months, the Kanban team got very effective at pulling their work and very efficient at agile practices, and they started asking to get larger tasks that they could break down. They were just as effective as the iterative team and wanted to take on more challenges. My second story is about how customer service and product support got better at doing their jobs. Mike Pryor, when he started, took over at product support, that was responsible for fixing bugs and putting them into the release. Customer support, however, was very unhappy because they couldn't answer the question, how long until a problem was fixed and turned around and released. A customer would call up with an issue and it would get assigned a number and placed on a queue where the customer support person thought it was appropriate compared to existing defects in the queue. The product support would take an item and then reassign it to one of two queues, items to be worked because they were fairly easy to fix, and those that needed some investigation and high level of work. The problem was that the predictability of getting any bug resolved was really difficult using this approach. Developers were shuffling things into queues and then getting around to fixing them, and their work habits were very unknown to customer support, so they couldn't feel comfortable of answering when a bug would get fixed. What they did to fix this was to stop the queue madness. They consolidated all bug requests into one FIFO. Product support would pick up the oldest defect and work on it until it was finished. However, the product support team created a Kanban board with categories that matched their process and made what they were doing very transparent. Successfully doing so, they started to improve. They added a high priority lane for urgent problems that customer support could track in there at customer support's request. They had a weekly review to resolve issues on the queue and perhaps reprioritize. They asked customer support to validate 10 items in the queue were still problems because they might have fixed them in the interim. And they've got really good at determining their cumulative flow and cycle times, and could estimate how long it would take until your bug was fixed. They found that they got more productive in product support because instead of spending a lot of time shuffling queues and verifying that a bug was really real or still existed, they could get around to fixing it. And so they were very happy at this. I'm going to end my talk by suggesting just one idea for my Agile architecture workshop. There are more than one way to manage architecture work tasks for a project. If you are worried about your architecture and building something new, you might just tag architecturally relevant items on a single backlog, as shown in yellow here. Or if you have a small architecture team, you might keep a separate backlog for their tasks and track their work and coordinate with other feature backlogs. If you have specialists and their time is limited, you might have them do work that is pulled through based on demand from other feature teams and use a Kanban. There isn't just one way to do it. It depends on the complexity of the project, whether you have to coordinate work with other teams, and how you want to make work visible and track it. I find that teams that learn and grow use lean and agile practices together, and they do it in very creative ways. They make it work, and then they make it work better. Thanks a lot.